How do you make your garden look better? The best way I have learned is to document things, keep a record of what's doing well, what isn't doing well, so that you can make those improvements. So join us in this video as we discuss this a little bit further. Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden, and you join me at this glorious time of year. We're now in April, the end of April, and you'll see every day the garden is changing, something new opens. Today it's the Iris sibirica at the back there, the allium bulbs have come through and they're just starting. Yesterday they were quite tight, but they're just starting to open up, and it's just wonderful to spot all these changes as leaves open on different trees. So this video is all just about documenting and taking note of things that are happening in your garden to help you make improvements. So I'm going to have a little wander around the garden. I always think it's quite nice just to take note of when things open at different times of the year, so that you know when you're planning a garden, you want to know what things are in leaf at what time. So we'll just have a little wander around the garden looking at some of the things that are looking particularly good, and then we'll head into the shed and talk a little bit more about documenting and the importance of doing that. So we'll just have a little walk around the garden and just point out things that are out and things that aren't out. So you see now the hornbeam is beautiful. It's out, it's been out for a few weeks now. It's really filling in. Whereas here you'll see that the beech hasn't yet opened, not on this hedge anyway, but you'll see at the top it's just beginning to. So the borders are beginning to fill out. I haven't put the supports in. I want to get the obelisks put in first. Before I put the plant supports in. I'm going to have to move some things depending on where the obelisks go. But we've got the little Aquilegia granny bonnets coming out. This planter, I need to remember to, I don't know why I didn't plant it out. I normally put pansies in there and I just didn't seem to get round to it this year. So I will remember to do that next year. This is looking lovely down here, the sunken garden. The Annabelle hydrangeas are doing quite well. I've given them a really good water, and these daffodils, these are Thalia daffodils. I love them, but I need to plant more of them, so that's just a little note to self for that. And the woodland garden's looking good. We've moved the hydrangea that was in a big pot. The barrel had rotted, and so it was just drying out, so that's gone in, and that's, I think, going to be lovely there. That will get nice and big there. The fence still needs painting, but the woodland garden's looking good. The box hedge has had its feed, and you'll see that it's come back really strong after that. Incidentally, just to note, the lime, bleached limes are just beginning to open here. We've got limes on the driveway, which you'll see up the back there, and they've opened. They've been open about a week, whereas the pleach row here seems a little bit behind, but that's just starting to open. I love spotting what's opening when. The osmanthus has been in flower. The flowers have just finished, and it's putting on lots of growth. What I would say, the problem with bottomless pots is that the soil has really sunk down a lot, about 6 inches really. It's dropped. It was a lot higher when we planted it, which is a bit of a problem really, because that's a bottomless pot, and we can't just fill up the soil, otherwise it will bury the tree. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. We're having to think about that. The parterre is looking good. The roses are good. The strolch needs to be topped up. I've ordered some more strolch, and I perhaps will do a video about the strolch. Incidentally, just want to go back to this. The hornbeam walk has got the skimmias underneath, as you know, and I put some of the bark chippings, which I've done in the past, is just to mulch them. But what happens is the birds flick all the bark chippings and it looks a real mess. It goes all over the path and looks really untidy. We've just brushed it back in again, but you'll see even there they've started to flick it out again. So I'm thinking of moving the bark chippings onto the borders and using strolch, experimenting with the strolch to see if that stays in place better than the bark chippings. So that's that. we'll head now to the seating area. So the seating area, I've taken all the covers off the furniture and stuff. The furniture, we've had this a long time. We've had it since our last property actually. So I think we could do with a new table and chairs, but I don't really want to spend money on that at the moment. So what we might do is try and just repaint this again, try and save it and make it look a little bit nicer. It's okay still. So that's that. These planters will need to be planted out. I'm just waiting until the last frosts have finished and then I'll get those planted. Got all the succulents in the ladder there. And then if we head, just want to show you the tree area and we'll look at what's out and what's not. So the Robin Hill was in flower, that was lovely. This is the Calicarpa, it's just opening. They're in the wrong place, they're in full sun, they've gone yellow, I don't know why I put them there. They'll be in the shade when the tree gets bigger, but that's going to be a long time. So the Acergrisium has got these beautiful, lovely little leaves, little juvenile leaves, aren't they gorgeous? These trifoliate leaves, love that. Then the Euonymus Europaeus red cascade, that's been in leaf for a while. It's got the little buds on there. Then the cockspur hawthorn has now come into leaf. It's meant to have flowers on it. I thought the flowers came first, like ordinary hawthorn, but obviously not, because it hasn't flowered yet. I can't remember when it flowered. I'm not sure. I'm learning these trees because I haven't had them. This is the first year of having this one, so I'm just enjoying it. This is the forest pansy. I'm excited to see that has, look at these teensy tiny little leaves. It's just opened in the last couple of days. That's too tight. That needs to come off now. It's getting strangling that branch. I'll go and get some scissors and cut that off. The ginkgo biloba, it's got its teeny tiny little leaves. And the Heptacodium mycinoides, that's been in leaf for quite some time. That was quite early to come into leaf. And this is one that doesn't flower in the spring, but rather flowers in the autumn, so quite unusual from that perspective. And the Parotia persica is now in leaf too. So everything's doing well here. We've got the taller plants, but we need a lot more understory plants. The arbutus looks okay, it got a bit frosted, but I think it's got some new leaves coming through, so it's looking okay. That Phormium looks awful, I think that needs to come out. And this is the Cornus crusa China girl, and look, I can't wait to see this. It's got all the little bracts there ready to open, so I'm looking forward to that. Now this is interesting, this is a little catalpa that I bought on a bit of a whim really. And I put it in and it just all went black really, the tips all went black. But I'm interested to see that it's got all these new leaves. I thought it was dead. So I'm thrilled to see that it's got some growth on it. So this is Catalpa biganoides aurea. So we'll see what happens to that. That'll be interesting. And then here is the Magnolia grandiflora and it's doing quite well. It's got lots of buds on it. So that's that area. We'll head now into the long borders, or what will be the real garden. So you can see here that the weed killer that we've put down on the Camasias is working really, really well. It's really knocked them back. But we have got a bit of a problem in that there's rabbits all in this border. And this is how I know. Look, he's left some fur there. And there's a massive hole. So where that goes to, nobody knows. But that seems to be where they're coming up. But whether they've dug under the entire garden, we just don't know. So the beech at the back here, you'll see, isn't in leaf. But this is where it always opens first, this corner, because this seems to get most of the sun. So these lovely little beech leaves are just opening, and don't they look beautiful? So that's good to see. So that's not quite May, almost May, and it's just starting to open. Some years it is May. In the vegetable garden, the pears are all in leaf. So the potatoes haven't come through, and that's a good thing because I don't want them to come through until the threat of frost has gone. And here are the broad beans, which I've just put in at the same time with the potatoes, but I've just put the supports in, and as they grow I just thread them through those supports. This archway is from Olivia's garden, and I think it would be lovely to plant that with the climbing beans. There's some peas just poking through. I've weeded all this area, and as soon as the threat of frost goes it will be planted out. And here are the Ami visniger, Ami majus, and the Dorcas carotea. Lovely little discovery apple in this pot. Same issue with this, the soil has really dropped down, and you can see the roots there, so the soil could be, take these stones out and top the soil up to cover the roots, which would improve it a little bit, so I'll probably do that. And then the fruit bushes, I've mulched underneath here just to stop the weeds. I weeded really well and then mulched it. And the strawberries have got lots of flowers, and the rhubarb and the blueberry at the back there. This is the little container. I think that's looked really lovely, really pleased with that. I love the colours. These orange and purple pansies with the orange and purple tulips looks good. But I think what I'll do with this container, when this is dropped really down low as well. So what I'll do with that is when these are finished, I'll put the dahlias in here, because I think it would be lovely to have that container full of flowers. And this area, the vegetable patch, this is just my method of keeping things off the crops while they make a start. There's some beetroot and things in there, not beetroot, spinach in there, and peas. I put some more peas in there. The lettuces and things are doing really well under here. This net's a bit odd because when it rains, the water just seems to sit on top. It doesn't seem to go through. Al said what I should do is cut the bamboo off here and put another one of these in the middle to brace it, and then I can have one going across, which I thought was a really good idea. So I must do that. And here, everything's very good in here. This is the chard and the kale, more kale in here. Just take you quickly to show you the what's going on in the greenhouse. So these are the ranunculus. This will be a kind of flower box of ranunculus when it comes through. It'd be lovely. Quite slow to do much, but I guess that's because they're outside. I've seen other people who are growing them in polytunnels. They're enjoying the ranunculus now, whereas mine are a long way behind. In here, everything's doing very well. These are all the tomatoes at the back, got lots of tomatoes, all the cucumbers and the courgettes, and more squashes up the top here. Just waiting for things. Things are slow to germinate, I don't know why. I've tried not having covers on it, and then I'm trying covers on it to see. Oh, 2 things have germinated. But yeah, things seem a little slow. That's not doing anything. Mind you, I only planted those yesterday. That's Zinnia Envy. Zinnias will not germinate for me this year. So I've bought a new seed packet, and oh, it's so hot, that soil. Perhaps it's too hot. Perhaps I'll take the covers off. So anyway, we'll head now into the shed and have a little chat about record keeping. So welcome to the shed, and the reason for bringing you in here is I'm surrounded by all these books, and I hadn't realised I've been such a diary writer over my life. I've written sort of diaries on and off, but I've actually pulled them all together and realised that I've actually got 17 years of my life in diary form, which is quite funny really, and it's nice to dip in and out and through the years and just to read little extracts from them. Quite amusing really. And the reason for telling you all this and how it's related to gardening is that I think it is good just to write things down and reflect on successes and failures. So even the mundane times in life, you can learn things from them. I'll read you an extract from my very first year of writing a diary, which was 1987. I would have been 12. So got up at 7 and had a shower, then put on my school uniform. I had my breakfast and Mummy took us to school. Our first lesson was double history. In the lesson, we went to the library as we were doing a project on the Anglo-Saxons. After history, it was break, and then geography, and then French. After French, Helen, Hannah and I went off to have our lunch. I had soup and a salad roll. Also for pudding, I had a yoghurt. After lunch, we went back to form room and had registration. We then went to our next lesson. Mine was double maths. In maths, we practiced doing fractions, all of the lesson. We then went to Mr. Cochrane's lesson, which was double English. When English was over, Hannah and I went back to the form room and got all our homework books, and then we both went home. When I got home, I did my homework, and then we had our tea, which was minced potatoes and corn. Then Daddy came home and we watched TV and went to bed. So that was my life, age 12. But the reason I'm telling you this is that even the mundane parts of life, when you're repeating the same task over and over again, generally you make perfections to it, you improve things. So for example, in the context of gardening, if you've been growing, say, broad beans for 15 years, hopefully by the 15th year, you're going to be pretty good at it because you've had 14 years of learning and 14 opportunities to perfect on your technique. So I did a little reel on Instagram the other day, just showing a different technique that I've learned over the years, which I've found to be a lot quicker and a lot easier. I'm trying to make life easier for myself. And it's the same with when you write a diary, you put down on paper what you're doing, and then you can improve matters. So that was 1987. It then carries on. This is a 5-year diary. It goes from 1988 and then another 5 years that go from 1993 through to 1997. That was around the time I was doing my nurse training. And then I've even got one which is when I was pregnant with Olivia. No, I think I was pregnant with Joshua. So it was all about being a new parent and you know, coping with all the things that go on when you're pregnant. So this just what it's like to have a little baby with a 3-year-old. Josh is now 8.5 months old, and just reflecting on what it's like to be a new mother. So again, reflecting on how things work, how things haven't worked. I even did one, I think this is, when is this year? This is 2004, so Olivia was just 1. And just like struggles of like getting her to eat her food or sit still or whatever, I don't know, all these different things that you go through in parenthood. And I'm just telling you this. What's this? Oh, that's cute. So I'm telling you all this because I think in gardening it's the same. And so when we moved here, I did do diaries. And although I had sort of everyday life, I also did just a gardening journal. And this is quite important because I just wrote down, particularly when we were doing quite kind of biggish projects and stuff, so that I could remember what I did when. So the first entry in this is 2017. So over winter we've been busy, moved the beech hedging and planted 76 Lelandii trees in their place to give us more privacy. Hope the beech survived the move. I think it's about May before the new leaves come out. Today I pushed the earth away from the edges of the new borders in preparation for the box hedging plants. 300 are on their way. Mulched the bed with cow manure. I had 5 tons delivered over Christmas and I'm gradually getting through it. It's not terribly well rotted. It's rather wet but should mulch down okay. I've pruned the roses, did the last one today, and clematis. Yesterday started planting seedlings in the greenhouse. Didn't have the greenhouse until April, so this is the first year to have its full benefit. All are doing well. Anyway, it goes on like this. But what I've been doing is sort of extrapolating everything from here and then trying to put it down in a kind of list on the iPad of when we did things, because as time goes by, you can't remember, oh, when did we do the parterre, or when did we do such and such? So I've trying to go through these and pull out things. So like planting the Leylandii hedge, planted out the top borders, which were the ones that we're going to redesign. I bought, it says in there, I bought all the plants, little plug plants from J. Parker, and a lot of them weren't good plants at all. To be honest, I wouldn't use them again. So I've learned different things. I have used their bulbs, but I wouldn't use their plants. They weren't good. Had issues with the box. Alistair bought me the top boxes. That's when I started using it in 2018. Al made the obelisks in 2018, and they're the ones that I've just painted and will be repurposing in the quadrant garden. Then we did the parterre in 2018. Joshua got his drone around 2019, so that's where we did the aerial shots of the garden, which was really helpful in the design, the overall design. I used it when I was doing the top borders, and I've used it when I did the new tree area. We relocated the vegetable patch to where it is now. We put fencing up. We put the picket fencing up in 2019. We planted the apple trees, the espaliered apple trees in, well, they weren't espaliered, they were just apple trees, but we espaliered them and planted them in 2020. So they haven't been in there that long. And then we also moved the pears. So we've got 2 pear trees, the Conference and the Invincible, which were located in the old vegetable patch, and we relocated them, which was a bit risky, but that paid off. So it's really useful to know when things happened and to constantly reflect on things. This little extract in this diary is from April 2019. So we've been very busy in the garden, and so indoor projects have been on hold. Al has been on about changing the shape of the main lawn area, inspired by our visit last year to Woollerton Old Hall. I wasn't too keen, especially as it entails so much work. Anyway, he got his way, and I must admit it looks fantastic. It divides the lawn into 2 distinct zones and gives us more interest with crossing paths, intersecting and giving different borrowed views. So that's the area so it was him that came up with that idea. I do remember it was him, and it was the right thing to do. So then also around that time, we got the bare root hedging plants. So this was April. So we got bare root hedging, beech hedging plants, which we planted. I'll just read what it said. So we got some bare root beech trees. I say trees, I mean twigs. It's a bit late in the season, so far not opening. They may be dead. Other beech just starting to get new leaves in the last 3 days. We've also moved 3 large box balls, which were near the house. So that beech hedge did die, because I had it delivered over the bank holiday. It got stuck in the post and dried out completely, and then when I put it in, it was dead. So I learned from that never to plant bare root hedging this late in the season. Far better to do it in autumn, and that's why I then planted that hedge again in the autumn. So that's how I've learnt. We also had a man come and take down the remaining conifers in the woodland garden. I think we've taken 11 down in total. The woodland garden has currently got no trees, but we've ordered 6 new white trunk birches on offer. They're 11 to 15 foot and they're £45. So I do try and write in prices so I can kind of keep some idea of how much we spent on things. Excellent price, and will give instant impact and a new home for the birds and wildlife. Easter weekend was gloriously hot and sunny, but it meant I couldn't get the plants in the new border planted. I thought I would need to buy new plants, but I want to plant in large clumps, and I've actually got a large array of plants already which need to be split as they're congested. So you've had 3 days of good rainfall, and so the ground is perfect for planting. I spent yesterday and today moving and splitting things. The pink geraniums have gone mad and are taking over everything, so I'm getting rid of most of them. I'm also finding lots of lovely plants which have been swamped by something else. I will do more again tomorrow. Veg garden doing well. Alice putting up fencing panels along the back of the new veg area, although it's been very windy today, which made it difficult. Got 2 lots of broad beans, peas, rocket, onions, potatoes, kale, sprouting broccoli. Tomatoes went into grow bags yesterday. Got lots left. Will go into outdoor pots soon. Going to sleep now as knackered. Another bank holiday, which is great. the birch trees arrived and they are huge, growing on in clay at the nursery, which meant that they weighed a ton despite having a small root ball. The stem is quite thin, but they're 15 feet tall and coming into leaf. This made it quite challenging as they have to take a lot of wind. It was very windy on Saturday and cold, but it made us appreciate the wind they would have to endure. I'll also put 2 cross supports in because of the canopy, and a couple looked wonky despite the stem being straight. We've also put bamboo stalks on those ones. The supports detract a little bit from the beautiful bark, but in a year we'll be able to remove them. They mustn't have any root rot. The roots have been quite severely severed. I just hope they take, and like our soil, don't know how they manage to grow on this very heavy clay. Yesterday we spent the day clearing and tidying the woodland garden after all the disruption. Not sure how the bulbs will fare next year as everything's been trampled. So out of that, I reflect on that and what I learned from that. Again, we were planting in April, silly time to plant if you can avoid it. Better to plant in autumn. But we wanted to get an instant impact, so we got these big trees. But as I said, they were incredibly top heavy. And so when we planted them, it was a battle constantly to try and keep them from getting root rot. Subsequently, we planted another 2 multi-stemmed birches. They were quite small and quite squat in height. And what that meant is that when we planted them, we didn't even have to put any supports in. We just planted them and they would give us no trouble. So again, big isn't always best. Sometimes it's better to get a little bit smaller, and they catch up really quickly because they establish much more quickly. The other thing I wanted to also say as well, when you're buying plants, when you buy anything, it's a good idea to always keep the label. I've always regretted it if I haven't done that, because it's nothing worse when something's looking fabulous in 3 years' time after you've planted it. And you've lost the label, and somebody said, oh, what's that? And you think, well, I don't know, because I've lost the label. So my technique is this. It's quite crude, and I want to hear back from you guys to hear how you document things, how you keep on top of things. But the way I do it is I've just got this book. It would be better, far better actually, to have a folder, a ring binder. I should have done that, and perhaps I will do one day. But I've got all the areas in the garden listed at the front and I've put page numbers on it. And then when you go to it, so say page 40 is the main borders. And all I do is stick in every plant that I've ever bought. I put it in here and I write a little bit about it. If I stick it in, then I'll write whatever's written on the back. I'll write it next to it. And that way you've always got a record somewhere. It may not be that well organised, but at least you know that you've got the label. So whether it's the Miscanthus, Giacchima dwarf, which I bought at one of the National Trust properties, it describes what it does. There are plants in here that I definitely no longer have, but I know that if it's been in this garden, it's somewhere in this book. So that's a good way of doing it. I think it would be better. There's better ways of doing it. It's crude, I know. And then also in this book, I've got all the trees that we planted last autumn. They're all stuck in here. Calocarpa, forest pansy, the Viburnum Kilimanjaro. So I've got all those in there. I've got all the fruit trees at the back. But anyway, at least you know then what it is. And then of course, these are the aerial photos that Josh did early on of our big borders. And he's got the drone now, so he will on occasion do me a new. That was the plan for the redesign in 2019 of the grass borders. So, however you do it, try and document, and things that you think at the time are quite insignificant, whether it's, I don't know, painting a fence or doing something which doesn't seem great. Overall, it can add up to something quite important. So try and document everything, no matter how small, and you'll be really glad that you did. My very last entry on this, and I no longer write a diary, incidentally, and the reason for that is this. 11th of May 2019, we have decided to launch a YouTube channel. So that was the last entry. And since then, I've had no reason to write a diary because my YouTube channel is my diary, and it provides a really good reference, photographic evidence of what we did when. So although it's lovely that you're all following along with me, I love having it for my own record. And when I'm an old lady and I can no longer do gardening, I'm going to sit and watch it all back again and see all the things that we got up to. And I'm sure that will be a really nice record of everything that we've done in this garden. So I'm here in this area to document what this looks like now. Not looking great. Normally at this time of year, it's really putting on lots of growth, is looking really pretty. It always looked lovely in May, but we've had to forego that for all the reasons I've said in previous videos. The Camasias have died off. They've taken over this border, so we've deliberately had to kill those off, and we're going to be redoing these big borders. But first the construction has to go in, so that's going to start next week. And we begin this process. So really important to document. This is the before. We've got lots of the before, and now all we need is the after photographs. But as you know, it's a slow process, chipping away whilst doing everything else that needs done in the garden and pushing on with a new project. So keep taking lots of photos of your garden. Instagram is another great way of documenting things. Although with Instagram, our tendency is to take pictures of everything looking fabulous, focusing in on everything, blurring out everything that's not looking so good around it. But it is important to take photographs of the before. So that you can compare it when you do make those changes and it improves things. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and join me again in the next video. Bye for now.